Hello, everyone, and welcome to Identity Insights by Indicio. This is a show dedicated to bring you the news and unpacking new developments in the digital identity community. Today, I'm joined by Lynn Bendixsen to discuss Hyperledger Indy networks and the Indicio Network. Thanks for making time for me today, Lynn. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thanks, Tim. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today to help everyone learn a little bit more about Indy networks. I've been working with Hyperledger Indy for about 4 years now, and I'm just super excited to be here today and talk a little bit more about them. My primary task at Indicio right now is to grow our networks and to keep them running smoothly, and so I'm here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Would you mind telling us in your own words, what is a Hyperledger Indy network?
Well, a public Hyperledger Indy network, like our Indicio Mainnet, is really just a collection of donated nodes that are run by node operators from around the world. This blockchain style network that we have stores and manages cryptographic keys that are needed to manage a Hyperledger Indy identity system. So trusted digital ecosystems like Indy only retain the keys that are needed to show that the credentials that are held by people are valid. And that's what's stored on the network, these keys. And neither the credentials themselves nor any of the data that goes along with them are stored on the ledger itself. So the network doesn't have any private data at all. The user has all their own information on their own device. So that's what a Hyperledger Indy network helps to take care of. It helps to manage identity so that people can have their own identity on their own device, and the network just manages helping to verify that you got it from a trusted place.
All right, that seems super cool and useful. What kind of setup and maintenance kind of goes into making a decentralized network like that?
For the setup part, we start by needing to recruit some node operators, right? If you want a public network and you want to run something decentralized, you can't do it on your own. People will not see that as being self-sovereign is another word for it. They'll see that as being a centralized. You run it, you run all the nodes, and so we have to recruit node operators. And these node operators are responsible for installing and starting up their own nodes. And I made a whole bunch of documents to help them to get this going. And so they follow those documents, install virtual machines in the cloud, most of them, or install in their data centers a node. And then I help them to join that node to the network. And once they're on the network, setting it up initially is just a few nodes, and then we start adding more nodes to it, and then we need to do some monitoring of that network to make sure it stays up and running. And there are other tools, some developer type tools to help people to use the networks and get onto we have a couple of free networks, and so people getting onto those networks with these tools and maintaining them is something we do regularly, right? We have automated tools that tell us when things are going badly, and we take special note, keep track of what's going on, watch it carefully. So it's just, at the very beginning stages of something starting to happen on it, we nip that in the bud, and the networks stay up and they run, and they keep running well. So it's very good.
All right, very cool. So yeah, would a node operator be able to see anything different than the average user of a network, right? So if they control the node, is there admin privileges they get at all, or is it just kind of, it's a public decentralized network, everyone can kind of see everything going across it?
The node operator special privileges are just to operate the node and to see the status of whether their node is up and running or not, and other nodes on the network. And so they're the only special privileges they have is that the data that's on the network, everyone can see. It's a public network. everyone can see it. The node operator can't go and change any of the data. The other nodes will immediately notice that they've done something and tell them, nope, you can't do that. They go what's called out of consensus. They're no longer going to be part of the network if they try and change anything. So the node operators, it's very helpful to have node operators, but they don't get any special privileges as far as getting access to data.
All right, very interesting. So I know Indicio's network is built on Hyperledger Indy, and we have quite a few node operators ourselves. Do you know why the choice to use Indy was made? And yeah, if you could touch on, how many node operators we have and how that might affect the network. Does that help with the decentralization? Does it help to have more ledgers? Like, why would that be important to have a variety of node operators?
Yeah, I see where you're going, Tim. You're talking about stability of the network, and the more nodes you have, the more stable it is, that kind of thing. So the upkeep that we do, I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the monitoring is a big deal. So we keep to upkeep it, we have to monitor and make sure everything stays up and running. But other things we do is we add more node operators, like you hinted at. Adding a node operator is pretty simple. It's not out of the ordinary to have a new one come by every once in a while and increase our stability by adding more. We have the Mainnet itself is very stable. It is our Indicio mainnet has never gone down. Amazingly, 18 months of running nearly, and it it's just been 100% ability to read from it, 100% ability to write from it the whole time. And that's because there's a natural redundancy built in to a Hyperledger Indy network. If one node goes down, the whole network doesn't go down. The more nodes you have, the more nodes can go down before you have a loss of write privileges to it. And then all of the nodes have to go down before you lose the ability to read from it. And that just doesn't happen, right? So and as soon as we start to have a problem, like I said before, we jump on it and we make sure that it stays up and running. So currently we have 10 nodes on our testnet. We're in the process of adding the 10th node on our Demonet, and on our mainnet, decided we wanted that more stable. So we, boosted that one up a little bit more. We have 13 nodes currently on our mainnet. And what that means is that there has to be 4 nodes that go completely offline before we lose the ability to write to the network. So it's there's an algorithm underneath that keeps things up and running, and that algorithm requires there to be a certain number of nodes operational for it to maintain what's called consensus. So that's the ability to write to the network is dependent on there being a certain number of nodes and them all agreeing that you can write to the network.
All right, that sounds incredibly resilient at 13 and for the mainnet, and then 10 for the other networks. So if you want to do maintenance, how does that work, right? Are you taking down just one node at a time, updating something, and then moving on to the next, and kind of going in a circle to update everything, or can you take down a handful and then they'll tell the others the update, and it kind of gets shared that way? How does updating and upgrading work?
That's a great question. The upgrade process for a Hyperledger Indy network is automated in such a way that once the trustees have agreed to an upgrade and have signed the transaction that occurs, a transaction goes out that says update yourself, or upgrade, I guess is the right word, sorry, upgrade yourselves to the next version of the network. So that command goes out, and usually I set it to be every 5 minutes, another node will upgrade itself, and then come back online. So at any one time, there's only one node that's down, and it's all automated. So the node goes down, upgrades itself, comes back up, and every 5 minutes. And so over the course of about an hour, the whole network is upgraded, and they watch it very carefully to make sure, because during an upgrade process, that's one of the most volatile times, because you intentionally bringing down all the nodes right in order. But so watch it carefully, make sure everything's going smoothly, and in an hour everything's upgraded, and you never lost any of the any time, and there's no real downtime because there's only one node at a time going down. So network as a whole stays up and runs throughout the upgrade process.
All right, very cool. So you mentioned, right, the testnet, the demonet, and the mainnet. Could you go into, basically what the differences between those are for Indicio, as far as, why you would want to use a different kind of network?
Yeah, so they're all the same kind of network. To be specific about what they are, they're all Hyperledger Indy networks. They all run on exactly the same technology right now. And as you mentioned a second ago, so we're doing an upgrade. We'll upgrade the testnet and the demo nets first to make sure the upgrades are good, and then we'll move to our main net. So the main net is more stable. It's the most stable one as far as maintenance and everything goes. The test net would be the least stable, because that's the first one that we try and upgrade or do any, checking new features on or anything like that. We'll use that for that method. And testnet is kind of for developers to develop on as well. So developers can go and try out their new solutions on the testnet. Then when they have a solution they think is ready to go to show to their management or show to end users, and they put you'll move to the demo net if you want to, and use that for demoing and showing your customers or clients what your stuff looks like, have them try it out even. And then and the testnet and demonet are both free to use. We have tools that can help get set up and use those without any fees. And then when you're ready to go public with your solutions and everything, we offer a mainnet, and the mainnet costs a little bit. We have a yearly fee to be able to use it and put your production level solutions out there on the production level network.
All right, very cool. So if I were to build something on the testnet or demonet, would I be able to just port it over to the mainnet? Like, how does that process work? Do you have to rebuild anything, or there's copies and you can just easily move it around?
Well, it's not as easy as people would like it to be. Each network is a separate network with its own identifiers, and they're called DIDs. So it has its own DIDs on it, and they have their own schemas and credential definitions. These are the building blocks for building an identity solution. So since each one has their own separate items of these types, you have to start over by rebuilding those when you move to the other networks. And so when you're done trying things out on one of the other networks, then you've got to write a few things to the network that you'd like to move to, and build your solution on that new network. Now, I say you have to write new things, but there's not a whole lot that needs to be written to get started and moving on these things. The credentials themselves, as mentioned earlier, are in the user's own possession. They have their own data, their own credentials, their own everything in their wallet. It's just a couple of keys and things that need to be written to the ledger to get set up so you're ready to issue credentials. So an issuer writes a few things to the new network, and then they're set up and ready to go with their solution.
All right, awesome. Well, it looks like we are about out of time. So thank you again for joining me, Lynn, and providing all this awesome information about Hyperledger Indy networks. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Hyperledger Indy, we'll have a link to their page in the description. To learn more about the Indicio networks and how you can get started using those, you can find a link to our networks page in the description as well. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like to learn a little bit more about, please leave a comment below and we'll be sure to get to them. Thanks again, Lynn. Is there anything that you'd like to plug before we go?
Oh yeah, I'll plug one more time. The Indicio networks, they're managed by professionals who have been in the industry for a while, including me, and there are a few others. And our maintenance tools and everything just keeps them up and running, and everything's great. So if you're going to use Hyperledger Indy network, come on over and we'll help you out. Thanks.